Yes, sir. Speaking of Abiola and Tinubu, another consequential Yoruba man is Obasanjo. From reading your book, I'm an Igbo person. I'm Igbo. I'm from Anambra State. I don't talk about tribe that much, but just for the purpose of this particular question, it seems to me that from reading your book and from looking at how Yorubas perceive Obasanjo, it's as if he's not really accepted as a Yoruba man. And from reading your book, it's obvious that you don't like him, you hate him, you despise him. Why do you think that's the case, that the Yoruba tribe don't accept Obasanjo, despite the fact that he was president for 8 years and was seen by many Nigerians as a Yoruba person being in office?
A lot of errors in that question, and I'll attempt to deal with them. Number one, I do not hate Obasanjo. I'm actually incapable of hating anybody. I might hate what you do, your actions. I might abhor your inactions. But to hate your person degrades my own humanity. So I cannot hate the persons. I do not accept Obasanjo's worldview. The man believes that nobody else understands Nigeria or can do for Nigeria the things that he had done for Nigeria. And it is this unfortunate worldview that has led us into the mess we are in today. So when you see me railing against Obasanjo, it is not his person, it is the actions. In asking me questions related to, I think it was the impeachment, this purported removal or suspension of Similari, you raised the questions of Obasanjo and Fayose. Yes. I constantly speak about Obasanjo because he was the first in the democratic experiment, and he had the opportunity to set the tone for the kind of democratic experience we would have, but he militarized it. At every opportunity to leave the right example, Obasanjo left the wrong examples. He built an EFCC that was essentially an attack dog that he used against the opposition. He preached and railed against corruption, but he enabled it in his worst forms. So when you see me talking about Obasanjo, it's because, in truth, I believe Obasanjo is the most intelligent person that has occupied that office. And he has failed woefully at leaving enduring legacies of probity, of democratic norms. He left bad examples all over the place. Bad elections, impositions on the judiciary, acts of impunity in Odi, in Zakibiam, in removing Fayose, in removing Alamie, all kind, rampaging all over the place like an enraged, maddened bull. So when you see me talking about him, I'm not talking about his person. It is the deeds that I have referred to. So if a man has acted in a manner that is suggestive of a person who has the utmost disdain for the rule of law, something that I cherish, how could I possibly speak of him in terms other than those describing him as exactly what he is? Obasanjo is the most intelligent person to have sat in that office. But what is it that he has achieved of consequence that we can point at and say that because he did this, the president that followed him were compelled to do the right thing because he did the right things? So it's a function of the kind of examples he left behind after his time in office. 8 years in office. What is the enduring legacy? If you point at EFCC, I'll show you a debt recovering agency that turns into a kitten when it's dealing with politicians, but becomes a tiger when it's dealing with 419 and Yahoo boys. If you want to talk about the ICPC, I'll be asking you how many governors, senators, House of Reps, local government, how many have they placed on the path of rectitude? It's very easy to point at the construction of all kinds of moribund institutions, but which one of them have stood up to the test of time?
None.
There you have it. I do not hate Obasanjo, and I dare say that Yorubas do not hate him either. The only thing that has happened is that Yorubas have never... It's only in recent times that we have become increasingly incapable of telling ourselves the truth. And it's not just a Yoruba thing, it's a Nigerian thing. As a collective, it's become increasingly difficult to look ourselves in the eye and just say the truth. So, but Yorubas have a tradition, a culture of dissent. It's never been a problem for the Yoruba man to look at his Oba and say, I don't agree with what you are doing. That's the ruler. You are disagreeing with the ruler. In Yoruba land, we have a tradition of forcing traditional rulers to commit suicide when they lose popular support. So in Yoruba land, it is easier to find people speaking in disagreement with their rulers. That might be the reason why you think the Yorubas hate Obasanjo. In fact, if anything, the history suggests the exact opposite of what you are saying. It was in the Yorubas finding support for Obasanjo in 2003 that Obasanjo brought his electoral tsunami to Yoruba land, where the AD was removed from all the states except Lagos in 2003 because they went and supported Obasanjo instead of standing on their own against the PDP. So it's not about hating Obasanjo. Nobody hates him. I don't. It is his deeds and inactions that I dislike.